we go. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to our Success Mastermind for this awesome, fun Friday on the 22nd of October, 2021. John Lavenia here with you. So good to be here with you. It has been an insanely busy morning already, and just the way I like it. So good to see Gail, Lindsay, Daisy. I got a lot going on. Hopefully you do as well, right? We've got we've got some interesting times that we're in. And there's lots we can do about it. Today, I'll tell you what we're doing here today. I told you I would give you a bit of a review of what I did yesterday. And so I will. But the other thing is we're going to be heard at 6 p.m. Eastern. So we didn't have practical entrepreneurial tips this morning. That's typically every other week with Ego Obi, mostly for our British attendees because of the time zones over there. But I will be with you back here at 6 p.m. Eastern U.S. time for that. I would like to just today, what I would like to do for anyone who wants to show up for that is talk a little bit about business, kind of in a private setting, some business developments that are going on here in my house and things that some people may want to participate in. So if you're so inclined, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Let's see here. I don't think I have any other announcements, although what a week. What a week it's been so far. Does anybody have a joke before we get into some of the meat here? Gail's usually reliable for some.
I'm looking at something here.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I save them whenever I see them.
Okay, well, I got one for you. Why do Italians wear gold necklaces?
Why what?
Why do Italians wear gold necklaces?
I haven't the faintest idea.
So we know where to stop shaving.
Oh. Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Here's this one. A police officer pulls over a speeding car and the officer says, "I clocked you at 80 miles per hour, sir." And the driver says, "Gee, officer, I had it on cruise control at 60. Perhaps your radar gun needs calibrating." Not looking up from her knitting, the wife says, "Now don't be silly, dear. You know this car doesn't have cruise control." As the officer writes out the ticket, the driver looks over at his wife and growls, "Can't you keep your mouth shut for once?" And the wife smiles demurely and said, "You should be thankful your radar detector went off when it did." As the officer makes out the second ticket for the illegal radar detector unit, the man glowers at his wife and says through clenched teeth, "Darn it, woman, can't you keep your mouth shut?" The officer frowns and says, "I notice that you're not wearing your seatbelt, sir. That's an automatic $75 fine." And the driver says, "Yeah, well, you see, officer, I had it on, but took it off when you pulled me over so I could get my license out of my back pocket." And the wife says, "Now, dear, you know very well that you didn't have your seatbelt on. You never wear your seatbelt when you're driving." And as the police officer is writing out the third ticket, the driver turns to his wife and barks, "Why don't you please shut up?" And then the officer looks over at the woman and asks, "Does your husband always talk to you this way, ma'am? Only when he's been drinking." That's the end of it.
Oh my goodness. That's great. Wow, wow, wow. By the way, does anybody know which of the 50 states here in the United States a radar detector is illegal? Does anyone know that?
Nope.
No? Virginia.
Oh.
Yeah, who just tuned in. Hi, Virginia. Not Virginia the person, but Virginia the state. Yeah.
Oh.
So why is it illegal? I don't know. I mean, it's just radio waves.
My husband used to have one when we lived in Guam, and the speed limit there is 35, and there's only one stretch that's 45 miles. Wow. And he had a radar detector on. He had his windows down, and he was doing 50 miles an hour in a 35, and the policeman stopped him because he didn't hear his radar detector, and it wasn't allowed to have one either. So
oh, wow.
He threw it away. That he said, "Never again."
Well, there you go. Well, anyway, thank you for the joke, Virginia. Now we have fulfilled our Fun Friday purposes. So here's, by the way, if you do want a radar detector, I swear by the Valentine one. Valentine one, been using it for decades. Amazing. That plus Waze, and if you get a ticket, it's your fault. So So here's what I talked about yesterday was balancing high leverage and low leverage activities, and having expedience on low leverage and having longevity on high leverage. Although it does require a little bit of, usually, delayed gratification, which is fine. If you're an intelligent person, you can understand that you don't plant a seed and then expect fruits in the next 10 seconds, right? That's okay. So, so with that in mind, and because I put out that intention all this week, right? There was something that just came my way. These things happen, right? Opportunity and, I wouldn't say chance, but timing and all this kind of stuff. Ways for me to get into high leverage action that costs me nothing except, to divert some of my attention from some of the more expedient things. Not that this isn't expedient. There's definitely things happening in, in short order. But because that's what I was looking for, that's what I found. Or because that's what I made myself open to, that's what I started seeing. So the question then is, are we even seeing the opportunities for us to create the life that we really want? And I would argue, well, to whatever degree, yes, and to whatever degree, no, right? Because if my attention is fixated on things as they are, or things as they should be, or what I think my plans are, or how I expect to reach each goal, which nobody knows how to reach until they've reached it, right? If I am fixated, then I tend to not see other possibilities. Now, that doesn't mean that you just drift through life, waiting for inputs to dictate to you what you should do. Open-mindedness is useful, but at some point there's also decisiveness, right? So I've decided. So in other words, my mind is closed to things that would be counter to things like my goals and my things that I've decided, yes, I'm going to do it. And I think that's where I want to go with this, right? Is that and you can own this for yourself or not, okay? But isn't it true that if you've decided, like really decided, like this has to get done, and you've assigned yourself the cause point in that, like you're the one who's going to get it done. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. Isn't it the case that if you have in fact decided that it does get done, it does? Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So then what have you recently decided to do that can move you in the direction of your goals? And is it optimal? Right? Because obviously we can optimize things that we're acting on. We can't optimize theory, okay, but we can optimize statistics, and we'll know that we've decided because we'll see the movement, right? A lot of times people think, I've made a decision and I'm going to try to eventually kind of start. You didn't decide anything, right? So we know we've decided because we see our feet moving. That's how we know we've decided. It is demonstrated by immediate action. And so in all of our lives, certainly in mine, I can look at things that I've had to change course, I've had to adjust and optimize because decisions were made, and because I started getting things done and I found ways to get them done even better. That brings me all back down to this main point of, as we in the short term survive and produce and create a lifestyle for ourselves, our family, right, and all the stuff that we do that could seem almost on autopilot, are we able to unfixate some of our attention and then look at things that would move us forward exponentially and long range, but not necessarily in the next 10 seconds? It all comes back to Steve Covey for me. So 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he talked about the quadrants of importance and urgency. You guys remember this? Those of you who've been through this book. Okay. So we've got important and urgent. We've got important, but not urgent. We've got urgent, but not important. And we've got not urgent and not important. Okay. So if we look at that as 4 quadrants, okay, important and urgent is where a lot of people, at least on purpose people, right? That's where a lot of people spend their time. Now, it's not terribly proactive to always live in urgencies, even though you're doing important things. if you're always in crisis management, well, what does that mean? That you don't have any time to put into the important but not urgent quadrant. When I think of high leverage or long range, thinking and actions, I'm thinking, yeah, these are important, but they're not urgent. Okay. So I've got to have the discipline to not live in a state of constant crisis management where all of my attention is consumed with urgencies, and where I can put some of that attention, rightly so, into other important things that are going to move me forward long range. That's what the proactive person does. And what was the first habit of highly effective people? Be proactive, right? So that those quadrants will reveal where we're actually residing. Okay, it's one thing to have the theory of it. It's another thing to take inventory and say, oh yes, I see that this is working for me, or I see where I've failed to apply, these principles. In other words, where I failed to create boundaries. So I have lots of things I could do today, and I'm going to have to say no to a bunch of them, and that's fine, because on the hierarchy of importances, they are lower than other things that have more importance. This sounds too simple, although I will tell you that the reactive person, not the proactive, the reactive person, which I've been plenty of times, they get hung up on urgencies and expedience and whatever. And they're not really deciding for themselves proactively, where are we going with this? What do I choose to do? What boundaries do I have? In other words, they have no boundaries. And they get to be the effect of everyone else's agenda, including their own, including their own, because their agenda includes things they didn't even plan. If you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, as the old saying goes. So in my case, I'm looking at where can I spend more time in the important but not urgent quadrant. Now, the other two quadrants are urgent but not important. Okay, so that's sounds like a waste of time. And not urgent and not important, just total diversion, whatever, just killing time again. So if we're at least dealing with importances, we're on the right path. That's not to be taken for granted. So how do we evaluate the relative importance or non-importance of actions, decisions, data, right? I mean, look, all of us right now, you can go turn on, mass media or social media or any kind of media, and people love to consume media, right? It's easy to be a consumer. And you can have all of this inbound, which may not serve you in any way, may be entertaining. What would that be? That would be not important and not urgent, okay? But you may have a lot of attention going to that because you're going to spend it one way or the other. And you may not be consciously evaluating the relative importance of that in compared to other data, other inputs, or your own induced, originated, goals, ideas, importances, right? If you think of a crazy person, like just out of their mind, insane. There's no evaluation or hierarchy or discriminating thought, right? Everything is everything, and no context, right? I'm just thinking about like loony bin kind of stuff, right? And yet that's if you picture that in your mind, that may seem like an extreme, and it is an extreme and very overt, easy to observe example of off the rails thinking or non-thinking. Okay. But, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, just like I see Sonia's here. Hi, Sonia. We talked about having both the tortoise and the hare. We've got both, right? So do we not also have the capacity to do, really good and sane things and really insane things? How many of us can recognize, why the hell did I do that? Right? In hindsight. Okay. So can we not also be off the rails with our thinking, or failure to think, failure to confront importances and non-importances and differences and evaluate where we're going in our lives? Right. Yeah. We can get off the rails too. It doesn't have to be that extreme or overt. Okay. However, you've got the capacity to do that. You've got the capacity to what? Abandon or to lack discipline. Sure you do. Right. I mean, there's two sides to every coin, right? If you could say, yes, I've got the ability to think and, and make decisions and all that. Well, you've also got the ability to not do that. So so then what we've got to do, I think, is take a look at where have we allowed our minds to run amok, right? To get sucked in to whatever, right? Diversions, urgencies, which aren't important, right? Agendas that don't actually serve us. And look, this is something that brought many of us here into this group. The idea that we wanted to, be, do, and have more in our lives, more of what we want and less of what we don't want, right? That's why else would we be engaging in conversations like this? If you weren't already deliberately choosing to think higher thoughts and do higher actions, well, why the hell were we even here, right? There's a lot more entertaining things we can do than talk about, life and whatever. I can't think of anything more important. So for me, this is a very purposeful thing. And obviously, if you're in this conversation, you recognize the importance of that for yourself as well. Here's the question, though. Here's the question. So at this time, let's say next year. So here we are, 2021. Fast forward the tape, 2022. Where are you going to be, having applied your own distinctions and your own evaluations of, what you should be doing in your life now? And sometimes just 1 year is, while that may seem quick, it's also a stretch for a lot of people when they've been just kind of sucked into urgencies. So if we could just start to spread that out, again, I'll refer to Covey. He talked about the idea of leaving a legacy. He talked about the idea of your epitaph, right? And which is kind of dark. Okay. But what will people say at your funeral? Right. So now we're thinking bigger picture here, bigger picture. Okay. But if we could just stretch out, this week into this coming 12 months, or even 90 days, right? We could start to think about what would be the most optimal things for me to do that would do the most good for myself and for the most people in the shortest amount of time, but also continue to pay me long range and continue to benefit people long range. That's where I'm going with this. And you know what? That's what I was looking for. And that's what I found. So I'm on friggin' fire. I'm like, the difference between, showing up to punch the clock begrudgingly and, oh, I got to put in my time. And when the quitting time bell rings, man, I'm out of there in 10 seconds. So there's that versus, holy shit, I'm on a mission. Like at 6 o'clock this morning, I sprang out of bed, right? Which is actually a little bit late, but anyway, and I was immediately in action. What a difference. What a difference. And I'm not saying to run yourself ragged and be, frantic or whatever, but you see the difference, like internally when we're on a mission, there's nothing begrudging about it, right? It is just so purposeful. And so we tend to have more energy. People say, John, where do you get all your energy? And I sometimes say, well, it's the magic vitamins I take, which is I'm kind of joking and I'm kind of not. I really have awesome vitamins, but underlying all of that is I'm on a mission. I'm on purpose. And I know it, right? How much more can I get done right now? Right. So that's where then the expedience comes in, right? It's not that it's expedient for the sake of, just doing, quick and crappy work that doesn't pay in the long range, but it's expedient in the way that I waste less time in a state of indecision. I move faster. And I think if nothing else, if we just make decisions about where we're going and we decide that the actions that we're taking are on purpose with that, we're going to tend to move faster. I've been accused of being one of the fastest walkers people have ever met. I have to slow down my cadence to keep up with the group. If we're walking as a group, typically I walk really fast. I've met a few other people that do as well. I've met one person, I think, in my life who walks faster than me. So if we ever get together live, okay, like some of us did in Vegas, it's going to be a Lindsay, do you walk fast? I think you do. Yeah.
We walk fast.
Okay. And is that overcompensation for length of your legs? Yeah. Okay. Got it. Yeah. I remember back in school, I wasn't a great sports guy. I begrudgingly did the PE, the sports. PE actually wasn't PE for me. It wasn't like calisthenics and exercise, which I would have thought was awesome. But it was like sports and competitive and jocks and all this. And I'm like, right. But if I ever did get the ball, nobody could catch me. So there's my strength. Now that was some years ago, but all right. So what am I talking about? I'm just talking about being on purpose and knowing that you are, and then just going faster. And then we can tackle all these other things that we've put off for however long because we've been encumbered with all these urgencies, which may or may not even be serving us. That may seem vague for you, and I can't take your inventory for you. You've got to take it for yourself. But I could just tell you that in the last 48 hours, my attention has gone where I've wanted it to go, and it's already bearing fruit, like mega fruit. Not just in the short term, but long range. Opportunities just show up because we show up. I guess that's the point. We show up for this. And if we're awake, right? It's like, hello, here's the opportunity, right? We could show up for this and do it justice. And then what? And then leverage, right? I mean, you guys know I run 4 businesses. I'm a crazy person and all that. But how did I get to that point? I got to that point because, I got momentum here, and then I added methods and scaled up, and I haven't arrived or anything, right? I mean, I'm still working to earn income. I haven't completely transitioned into, the world of capital gains, which for me is terribly sexy, right? Robert Kiyosaki talked about this in, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, right? These books where, you earn money to buy assets, hopefully, right? And those assets earn money. You get to the point where your assets pay enough money where you may still work because you like your work or whatever, but not because you need to pay your electric bill or something. The capital gains, the incomes, the dividends, right, pays for your lifestyle. So then go do whatever you want. I like that. And I end off with this. I kind of came to this, and Daisy and Virginia and Glenn and Linda Landry and Daisy, your husband Dale, you guys helped me with this without even knowing it, because we got together in our little regional success mastermind get together in Vegas and in Pahrump, where I hadn't been in a couple of years, right? Since the whole COVID thing and all this, not to mention, my wife was diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. She's cancer-free now. I think a lot of you know her book's about to come out about creating out of cancer. And so the last thing I was doing at that point was heading out to, the gun range or whatever. But I was there last week with some of my favorite people in the world. And I was like, holy crap. This is one of my favorite things in the world to do. I love doing this. I'm actually on staff out there, right? They were like, yeah, come on down. I don't know if Daisy or any of you guys heard, but the range master was like, hey, John, can you go get your uniform on? And because, they need help. And it's not something I do for money. You break even by the time you're done, buying ammo and, driving your car back and forth across the desert, or in my case, riding the Harley, you broke even, whatever, fine. I think the top guys in that industry make, 60, 70 grand a year tops. Right. So it would be not something I would do for money, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if, I didn't have all these other urgencies upon me where I could go and, 1 week, couple weeks, every 60 days, 90 days, head out there and do something that isn't necessarily going to make me money or lose money either way. But it's just one of my favorite things to do. And yeah, that would be great. Well, it's not going to happen if all you do is constantly, urgencies, chasing the whatever. So these were considerations that prompted me to look again at high leverage actions. Because how long can we defer life? And I think that's a question for everyone here. I don't want to get too political, although I have no problem doing so. There are a lot of people that are being told that they need to defer life still and more, right? And a lot of people are saying, we've had quite enough of that. We're getting back to life now. And, I'm certainly one of them. In fact, I haven't deferred life. Now, certainly, with things that are important and urgent, like helping my wife through cancer treatments and everything, yeah, we're going to defer other things. But to defer life as a general consideration, well, when do you start living? right? I think a lot of people have, have been reduced, sadly, to bare bones survival. And I would suggest that you lift your gaze from that, because you are so able. And regardless of what your conditions are and your situations are, something can be done about it. To me, that's a very hopeful thing to hear come out of my mouth. Something can be done about it. You know, there's a lot of people in not good situations right now. Something can be done about it. Anyway, in fact, that directly relates to the new projects I just took on. So yes, we're doing something about it. We're helping people get their lives back. So I'm really, really freaking excited about it. Anyway, let me stop talking because I can't get any more specific about that in a public forum. If you guys want to get together at 6 o'clock, I'd be happy to tell you a little bit more about what I'm doing. But I love you guys. Floor's open. I'd love to hear any breakthroughs that you've had based on our conversation yesterday, or any things that you've considered taking on, or things that you've noticed as a result of balancing the tortoise and the hare, of which you've got both in you, right? Is there any thoughts that have come up for you since yesterday on that? I think we have many of the same people here that we had yesterday. So that's good. Anybody have some thoughts on where we're going with this? No. Okay. All right. So then what I'll do is I will go take care of a lot of other things, and I'm going to get back with you here at 6 p.m. Mandy has her hand up though. So, hey, Mandy, come on out, my friend.
Hi, John. I'm not going to let you get away that easy.
Okay.
And it probably relates more to what you were just saying then. The first thing is what you were just talking about was in your book. I'm thinking that's in your book. And that was the last chapter we just read about whether you can have passion, fun, and the work and everything else. And at the end of that chapter, you decided, yes, you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to double check. I'm sure that was in your book. So yeah, that's something I've definitely got to learn, because I've definitely got too much, too insular, too much focused here. So I'm on my own at the moment because my son's gone on a Duke of Edinburgh award thing. So he's out camping in the rain somewhere, which means that I probably won't speak to anybody but somebody in the supermarket for the next 4 or 5 days. But I'm trying to get caught up with some of the things I hadn't done. And one of the things I did notice this morning when I got back focused again, leaving on a bit from yesterday, but it was like Oprah Winfrey said one really good thing. She said, what's the next right step? Take the next right step when you're thinking about what the next thing is to do. So I said to myself this morning, I know I've got written down what's there. I know I've got a couple of bits to do. So we got it from the 12-week year, but it was whether I did this or this. And so I spent the time and I just updated my offer. But when I went through it, it just went so much easier this time, so much. I was focused on it, but I had the radio on, but I didn't have speak on. I had songs on, but they were like really easygoing ones. And it's just like, yeah, you can get into it and you're happier with it because, you know, you like those songs, but they don't take anything away from what you're thinking, because they're just really slow songs. And I just found it worked really much better. And I was like, God, I feel like I've actually achieved something for once. I've actually achieved something today. I've got that, and I'm happy with what's on it. And it was just flowing with what I was looking at. So I think, like you said, you're on focus and you're just doing it and you're there. And it sort of spoke to me a bit. Once I'd moved the cat off my chair, who keeps deciding to sit on my chair, and every time I jump off of it, he's made it his home. But yeah, there was a few thoughts that were coming up for me.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mandy.
If they make sense.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. I'm excited that you're here, and thank you for sharing that. So these principles show up in life, in different lives, different ways, right? So, hey, we got a couple more hands up. Virginia and then Allie. Hey, Virginia.
Good morning. I have my, I maybe could put my camera on. I'm just taking a look. I've rolled out of bed. I am still recovering from 16,000 steps a day and 7 miles from someone who doesn't, a day, 7 miles a day. The strip's only 4 miles long. How could you put in 7 miles in a day? Oh, it's going from the lobby to your room. Yeah, nobody told me those hotel rooms are a mile from the front desk. Yeah. Next time, I love the strip. Had a great time. Next time, I'm going to stay off strip. So I might actually get something in my room for free instead of having to pay for every single thing, like oh, no complimentary coffee in my room, no free buffet breakfast. I can go to the Best Western and get that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm a little discombobulated still, but it's been recovering and making progress this week. Sorry, I was missing the last few days, so I didn't get to hear all those wonderful things, but I got the gist of it. I did an Amazon accelerator course the last 2 days because I have to put my book through going through the printing process, so it's not print on demand. So hopefully I'll make some money at it. And so that's been happening. But I admire so much your ability, and I'm sure Shannon's too, to close a deal right away, to have the right words to say, to make things happen. I run into intention, and I'm focusing, and then this carrot, this gold nugget gets daggled in front of me. I think I shared something with you in Vegas about the editor from the Times magazine. Was it the Times magazine? Wanted to run one of my cookie recipes and feature it for their Christmas selection. Didn't I share that with you? And you were like, yeah, that's awesome and everything. So that was Thursday night. I got that. And then Friday morning, she pretty much took it away. I was like, what are you doing here? Because here I'm in Vegas. She said, oh, well, I got a recipe from a friend, so I might just run with that, but I'll use yours as a backup if it doesn't work out. And so here I am in Caesars having breakfast with Linda. It is so loud, you can't hear yourself think, trying to pull up my book from Google Drive and seeing excerpts and taking photo shots of it so I can send her my recipe so she's got it because she still wanted it. Send her some other ones that are also great Christmas cookies. She's even bought the book. She married an Italian, blah, blah, blah. She's not using my cookie recipes. I'm like, why do you give me these gold nuggets and dangle this stuff in front of me? And this is just one example of other things like that happen. It's like I draw it into my life, and it's happening. And then, oh, somebody takes it away. Don't dangle it in front of me at all. So I don't know, maybe that's just par for the course with business. But I would very much appreciate a session that would talk about negotiating with businesses, negotiating with people, how to let them know that I know they have not opened up my emails because I have a customer relation management software, or I know that they've looked at it 10 times when they tell me, oh, I haven't really had time to look at it. So like how to bust them without alienating them. So I would really appreciate it. Maybe it would be on Shannon's Brand Builder, or maybe it's another session where we can be taught as masterminds how to get past hurdles, how to negotiate, how to close the deal.
Okay.
On there.
Oh, well, great. In the member site, the Mastermind member site, there is special events, and there's a 2-part series on sales mastery that I did. Okay. So have a look at that. But also in terms of negotiating with organizations, which is what it sounds like you're looking to do, the quick answer that I'll give you is that you're actually negotiating with an individual, that people have their own, just like everyone, their own hope for gain or fear of loss. And since all sales decisions, all buying decisions are based on emotion, not logic, remember that you're talking to an individual, not to whatever their title is. And then you can get in that, that communication, you can make it stick, and you can induce decision on the part of that individual. Now, if it's got to go to committee and whatever else, well, now you've got to have your materials talking for you. You've got to have them selling it for you, which is a huge additional hurdle. So consider that. That would be a short answer. There's a lot more that goes into it. And thank you for the validation and for the acknowledgement, Virginia. Yes, I help people make decisions quickly. And part of that is because I'm sold myself, right? I know that if I've got the solution and it's right for them, then I'm going to put those two things together. It's my moral obligation to do so. But if I had to think about it or script it out or whatever, right? You're mentioning having the right words at the right time. if I didn't have the right words at the right time, now I'm looking inside and introverting and trying to figure out, what do I say to this person? I don't have that problem, right? Because I've already got it, right? I've already got the words. I've already got the knowingness, which I can then transfer to them and then keep all my attention on how do I serve this person? And then they're able to get that communication. And then it's not even about me. It's just about them, which is what the whole sale is about anyway. So almost sounds too simple. But I think a lot of people go into a negotiation or a sales kind of a situation, not quite sold themselves, not quite sure what that person wants. And I'll tell you, that's one person I can't close. If they won't let me know what they want, I don't know. What are we even talking about? Right. So it's not like I'm magical or anything. There's got to be a dialogue. So anyway, I love you, Virginia. You're awesome. So good to see you last week.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Ali. Ali.
Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Yeah, totally. Things coming up for me. The wasting time on non-urgent things. I've been so guilty of that, and just from everything, the awareness now is so fantastic because I can be on something, and I'm now aware and go, no, toss that aside and move on to something that is proper on purpose action. So that's been fantastic. But the thing that's come up over the last couple of weeks really for me is purpose. And I have realized that so many of the things that I've been doing, that actually I've kind of buried what I feel my real purpose is under negative programming. I can never do that. It's far too hard. It's far too this, far too that. And it's kind of reborn. And I've realized that the only thing stopping me is my own negativity. And that all the kind of actions that I've been doing over the last year really is not aligned with my purpose. So I've been struggling with things, and things haven't quite been working, and I've been just struggling with why, and I've realized it's just because it's not aligned. And now I've aligned, and I've got kind of tasks to do, and they are so easy because I can do them, and it's in line with my purpose, and it's just, I can steam ahead. It's been a real revelation of that alignment. And then the tasks become much, much easier. Of course, there's going to be difficult times, but that doesn't matter, because when you are truly aligned with your purpose, then it's just, you're going to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a big thing for me.
Oh, well, congratulations, Ali. That's huge, right? Just a recognition of where we've been on course or off course, right? That is enormous. You can't solve a problem unless you can confront the problem, right? So it sounds like you're confronting what's really happening with Ali. So love you as well. Thank you for being here. This is great. All right. Anybody else? Any other thoughts today? All right. So I'll be back here with you at 6 p.m. Eastern US time. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get some important things done today. It is Friday, which TGIF and every other day for that matter. Okay. We'll see you guys real soon. Have a good one. Bye for now.